Hi, everyone. This is Angela Posillico, the CEO for Miss International World and Miss Latina International. And I would like to welcome you to our TV series, Make Your World Our Runway. This is not only a show about pageantry, fashion, but also the entertainment industry, which, of course, all of that is very interesting. And today I have a very special guest that I am so honored to introduce to you, Tito Puente Jr., who is the son of the great Tito Puente. So let's take a moment and welcome Tito to our show.
Hi, Angela. How you doing, guys?
How you doing, sweetie? It's so great to see you.
It's so good to see you, too. Nice to see you. Here's a internet hug for you.
Same thing here. There's an internet hug for you. I'm so happy and so honored that you are my first guest on the show. I love it. And I know you have so much to talk about. But before we do that, I promised a very mutual friend of ours, 𝐮𝐻𝐻, that I would give him a big shout out about a show that you're doing on, I believe it's November the 27th in Poughkeepsie, New York.
That's correct, Angela. My friend, our good friend, 𝐮𝐻𝐻, fantastic promoter, friend, performer. Gene's a great guy. We're doing a beautiful concert at Revel 32 on November 27th in Poughkeepsie, New York. It's not really New York City, but it's outside of New York, and I have some fan base out there, and I'm looking forward to seeing Gene and all the fans at Revel 32 in Poughkeepsie, New York on Saturday, November 27th, and the tickets are on sale.
Yeah, I know. I'm helping promote that flyer for you. And I know Gina's trying to get me to fly up, which I'm looking to do. But also a very good friend of ours that's going to be attending, 𝐻𝐿, used to be involved with the 𝐭𝐵𝐿. He will be attending that show. So it's going to be great. And I hope that all the fans in New York get a chance to go out there. So I wish you a lot of luck with that.
I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be a great show. Thank you for having me on this this first ever show you got going on. I love it, and thank you for inviting me. And I'm so grateful, and it's really good to see you and the family. I saw you guys a couple of weeks ago at the concert, and I'm so glad. And the cruise was fantastic as well. Really had a great time on the cruise with the Miss Latina World International pageant. Fantastic. Really enjoy your company, and thank you for having me.
Oh, always. In fact, we're going to be setting the next cruise is going to be in July, sometime the 22nd. I'll be sending you some dates. You know, you're always the headliner. And we love it because you bring Melina with you. And once people found out that you were the headliner, a few weeks ago, I was at Lefty's show and everybody's like, we want to get there. We want to go with you. And I said, well, Tito's the headliner. Once we set the date, you have to talk to him. If he says you could be a special guest with him, that's great. If not, it's Tito's show. I don't get involved with that part, so I leave that up to you.
No, you're doll.
But anyway, I want you to tell the audience. I know you're working on a lot. There's a movie coming up about your dad. You just did The King and I. So give us an idea of what you're working on.
Wow, doing so much, Angela. And every time I see you and your husband, I'm always telling you guys that you guys are all over the place. And I have been. It's been a very, very whirlwind thing. And it's kind of ironic simply because last year we were on a lockdown due to the pandemic. But I got through it and I did an album, a tribute record. Last year was the 20th anniversary of my father's passing, Tito Puente. Those of you who don't know who Tito Puente is, please, by all means, Google him and you guys will find out the historical artifacts and music that he left on this beautiful, beautiful Latin music culture. Tito Puente was a historian of just music and just over 186 albums to his credit. He was a 7-time Grammy Award winner and his accolades are endless. And I wanted to do something in tribute to him. After 20 years after his passing, he passed away May 31st, 2000. During all of last year, during the lockdown, I remotely recorded 10 different artists who worked directly with my father in the studio during his 5-decade career, starting from the 1950s all the way through his passing in 2000. So I got a slew and a compilation together of 11 songs, 1 original tune of people that work with my father. This is the album right here. It's called The King and I. It's available on compact disc now, and it's on all digital platforms. Let me tell you the array of stars I have on this record. Domingo Quiñones, Frankie Negron, Jose Alberto Canario, Tony Vega, my brother Ronnie Puente. I did a record with my brother finally. Humberto Ramirez El Meñique, 86 years old, singing some old classic Tito Puente music. And of course, Yolanda Duque, Dominican singer that worked with Tito Puente Orchestra for 10 years. And my dad's goddaughter, Miss Sheila E., and her father, Pete Escovedo. They kick out a beautiful, beautiful rendition of 𝐟𝐨𝐿. All classic Tito Puente tunes on a compilation. And then one original called 20 Años. The music video's out now on YouTube. And it was produced by a two-time Grammy Award winner and our good friend Marlo Rosado. And it came out fantastic. I'm so happy and proud of the album. It just came out. It's only about a month and a half old. People are responding to it incredibly. And I hope that the Recording Academy will pay attention to some good music here. And this could be maybe a contender for a Grammy in 2022.
Yeah, I read that. And we're all rooting for you. I mean, people are voting. I mean, I think it would be absolutely fantastic if you got a Grammy for that. That would just be amazing. I've been following that. And, you know, I think I did tell you one time, but there was it was a story I never did tell you about your dad, which I was thinking about the other day. I told you how I got to call him Dad, which was always an honor for me. But I was working for a company in the 1970s called 𝐒𝐿𝐼 Semiconductor Products. And I was not only the receptionist there, but I was in charge of letting all the drivers come in and do the deliveries. So I had one of these drivers, and I'll never forget his name, 𝐒𝐿𝐼. And he said to me, he says, "How would you like to have dinner?" He says, "with me and Frank Sinatra and the whole gang tonight." You know, somebody tells you that, it's like, yeah, okay, you know, this is far-fetched. Right. He said, "All right, show up tonight." He says, "at Rocky Lee's." He says, "about 8 o'clock." He says, "on East 52nd Street." I called up a friend of mine. I said, "You know what? This may be a bluff, but let's go." So we go, and all these bodyguards are standing out Rocky Lee's, and they asked my name, and I told them who I was there, and they said, "Okay, come on in." And sure enough, there's all the Yankees sitting there. There's Tommy Lasorda from the Dodgers sitting there. There's actors sitting there. And I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to believe this. So about an hour later, Frank Sinatra walks in. And of course, when Sinatra walks in, you have to stand up. You have to kiss the ring. You have to, you know, have to pass the wine, to sugarcoat it. Sure. At 11 p.m. that night, I saw one of the bodyguards go up to Sinatra and whisper something in his ear. And he said, absolutely, without a doubt, let him in. The doors opened up, and it was your father. Wow. Frank Sinatra stood up and he said, "This is the king. Not me, but this is the king." We all stood up and we gave your father a standing ovation. And it was at that time that I knew that your father was not only gapping the genres of the Latin community, but he was truly the king of the entire music world. And that was such an honor. So I never told you that story, and I was thinking about it. But that was a great honor to sit there with Frank Sinatra and then have your father walk in at the same time.
2 times. You had the king and you had the boss right there.
Exactly. Wow. We had the king and the boss.
Incredible.
And for Sinatra to go up to your father and actually hug him and kiss him and say this was the king, I just thought that was amazing. And how 2 people.
That's so incredible that you experienced that, to see 2 titans of the music industry in general, in the whole. My father did want to do a record with Sinatra. Unfortunately, his passing, you know, came too soon. But then he started working on Tony Bennett. And dad, of course, wanted to do that right after he did this album with Eddie Palmieri in 2000, and then Pop passed away. But earlier that year, in 1999, he won a Grammy, and he saw Tony, and he wanted to work with Tony. But let me tell you, Tony Bennett's still kicking butt out there, and it's incredible seeing him, and he was such a very good friend of Frank too as well. And it's nice to see those old timers still kicking butt and doing something. But you know, technology today, Angela, you can put 2 deceased people together on an album. And I did that in the 20 Años video, and the song itself. I had an old recording of my father playing timbales from 1998, and I flew it into the record. With Marlo's technology and the computers, we got him to play from, I guess, Beyond the Grave and to play on the record. So technically, we could do something with Frank Sinatra and Tito Puente in the future.
Oh my God, that would absolutely talk. I mean, you just mentioned Tony Bennett with Lady Gaga, and you know how well that's doing.
Wow, amazing.
You do something with Tito Puente and Frank Sinatra, not
Yeah.
only talk about a Grammy, they'll probably make a movie out of that. That would get an Academy Award. In fact, I believe, if I read correctly, that James Olmos is doing a tribute to your dad.
Yes, we're doing a docu-series, and not only was Edward James Olmos the actor, Academy nominated, and not only did he is he a fan of my father, he was also his friend. He also did the eulogy at his funeral as well. Edward James Olmos is an incredible entity, and we gave him, on behalf of our family, gave him the rights to ascertain a docu-series on the life story of my late father, Tito Puente. Due to the pandemic last year, it was very difficult to get the editing and all that together. However, we're back on track now. It's a little bit delayed, so we're looking at probably next summer, 2022. But the trailer is being done as we speak. Hopefully it'll be out by the end of this December, which is in a couple of weeks. They got about 90 days to come up with a cool trailer for the entire thing. But it's going to be an 8-part docu-series. Not too sure which platform it will be on, but one of the digital platforms will ascertain it. And very exciting. Tito Puente, 8-part series on his life story. And what's great about this, Angela, is that experience that you had with my father and Frank Sinatra is stuff that we're going to talk about. How is Tito Puente normally at home? Exclusive footage of him during Christmas time, Thanksgiving, the holidays. What drove Tito Puente to become the child prodigy that he became? And the man, the myth, the legend. Everybody knows Dad, and of course Pop, as we call him. We always knew Pop as being on stage and being this incredible entity and performance-wise, but you're going to see Tito Puente at home, in the car, at the mall, and all the places where my mom filmed him everywhere. She used to carry around a video camera, those little Betamax cameras back in the 1980s, and we followed Tito Puente for 20 years. So you're going to see a lot of exclusive footage in this docuseries. Hopefully by 2023, maybe a biopic on the life story of the brand Tito Puente.
Oh, I love it. And, you know, one of my favorite movies, and I watch it all the time, The Mambo Kings. And I know and we had another mutual friend that was in there, Cuban Pete Aguilera, who I believe did a lot of the choreography for the dancers. And you know as well as I do, Cuban Pete and Barbara Craddock, they adored your father. I mean, I had them perform for me several times. But that was a great movie, especially when he and Armand Asante got up there and playing the timbales together. So, I just love that movie. And were you ever on set when they did that movie?
I was on set they filmed it all in 1 week, my father's parts. Most of the movie was filmed, I think, over like a 2-month time period. But they did film it in Los Angeles, recreated the whole Palladium nightclub, which is incredible. And I was there on one of the sets one day at the same time my father was getting to star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame while they were filming. So at that same time, I think it was about 1990, 1991. And then the movie was released, I think, at the end of that year, or 92, right in there. Incredible experience seeing Armand Asante, who happened to be our neighbor in New York. He lived in Snaiden's Landing right there. And then Antonio Banderas was a very up-and-coming big superstar from Spain. Now he's a big, huge celebrity. And it was an incredible experience that Dad played. Also, Celia Cruz was in the movie. Jose Alberto Canario, Ralphie Asadi, and a lot of great artists actually portrayed themselves in that movie. Yes, but Pop Scene was really incredible, playing the drums like that with Armand Asante. And by the way, he had to teach him how to play like that.
Oh no, that's my favorite scene. That was incredible. Now, your father, I know, sang with, well, I should say she sang with your dad, was Celia Cruz. But didn't La Lupe perform with your father as well, too?
Yes, Tito Puente happened to be one of the first band leaders to have a female front the orchestra. I can go back all the way to the 1940s and 50s. We had the Castro sisters, and then he also worked with Graciela. That was Machito, and the Afro-Cuban All-Stars, that was his sister. She was a very powerful singer. Olga Guillot, Sophie, La Lupe was a very, very instrumental vocalist for Tito Puente and his orchestra from 1965 into the 1970s. And then, of course, he worked with the Queen, Celia Cruz, for many years. And then after that, he actually worked with Yolanda Duke, La India, so many other great, great talented artists and female artists. And it was great to see Tito Puente open up that door for female singers. He was one of the first ones to do it. Remember, salsa music back in the day was all men up on stage. It was all about that. My father said, bring a female up there and show those beautiful voices that they can really, really, there were sirens back then. Amazing, amazing, talented female singers.
Yes, and you're doing the same thing because you've got a fabulous female singer with you right now. She's a sweetheart, Melina Almadova. She is absolutely, yeah, she's absolutely amazing.
That's our baby.
Yeah, you're right. That is our baby.
They call her the muñeca de la salsa, the doll of salsa. She looks like a doll figurine. She's fantastic. I've been working with her for the past, I think we're going on about 5-6 years now. And she's wonderful to work with. She's very energetic. And keeping that tradition alive of having a female front the Tito Puente band, I put Melina in front of our orchestra when we travel around the world, and it's fantastic. People respond to her. She gets everybody. It turns into like a big Zumba class all the time. And I love that. And she brings that energy because the music is very exciting at Tito Puente, but to have her engage the crowd, it works out fantastic. So it's really, really cool to have her on board.
It certainly is. I mean, I know she was going to do the show today, but there was a little bit of a mix-up, but we'll have her on the show.
She's a busy girl, Yeah, I thought I was busy. She's just as busy as I am.
Yeah, maybe we can have both of you together on the show the next time. I know I'm going to her show tomorrow night. She's doing a show with the Big Easy Casino, which is her Halloween show. Yes, and next week, and we can talk about this, is the Salsa Fest, which you are going to be performing on, and I'm going to have a VIP section there. So give us an idea of what we're going to be looking forward to next Sunday.
Well, first and foremost, Angela, you're always VIP. So you're always VIP to us. It's going to be a fantastic concert. I encourage everybody to get your tickets. They're only $10. And it's going to be at the North Beach Band Shell in Miami Beach. It's the 9th annual Miami Beach Salsa Festival featuring yours truly, TP Jr., Melina Almadova, full orchestra, many bands, a lot of food, dancing, bring grandma, bring grandpa, and it's on the beach. So if the kids want to go to the beach during the day, go to the beach and then come over to the band shell. We started about 4 o'clock and it goes to about 11, and it's all evening, just great, great food, entertainment, and it's great, and it's outdoors. They're following CDC guidelines. Everybody should feel safe that we'll be outside, and we encourage everybody to come on out. It's family friendly. Bring the kids, bring grandma, bring grandpa, bring everybody, all ages. Sunday, November 7th, the Miami Beach Salsa Festival with Melina Almadova and Tito Puente Jr. I can't wait to see everybody there, and I'll come to the VIP tent and check you out too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to have a lot of the girls there with me. And, you know, I got to bring my mother, because anytime you perform and it's in the area and I don't bring her.
She's my biggest fan. I love her.
Yeah, you know what happens, okay? It's like me being a kid again. I mean, she will not, literally, she will not talk to me for a week. Okay, how could you do this to me? You know I love Tito. He's like my adopted son.
I love that.
She goes crazy. Now, she could be sick. I mean, her arthritis could be bothering her. But when you're on that stage, Al and I say the same thing. She has no pain, no headache, no nothing.
I watch her. I see her all the time, and then I see her moving in her seat, and I love coming and dancing with her. When she gets up and dance, she's probably seen my father more than any of us in concert. I'm sure she was at the Palladium in New York and all the nightclubs. But it's great to see that new generations are learning about Tito Puente music, especially the older generation is now teaching them. Your mom teaches the newer generation now on the history of Latin music, which I love that. And that's really where I'm in the divide right there. I just turned 50 this year, and go figure, I'm still trying my best to teach kids today. Think about it, Angela, the 20-year-olds that are alive today never got to see pop alive and perform live. We got to see Tito Puente alive and kicking on stage with Celia Cruz. So they missed out. This generation has missed out. But I continue to keep his music alive and performing his music, and hopefully people will be entertained, especially the new generation. And I love that they are responding to the record. I love it. I see a lot of people responding to the album, young dancers, young mambo dancers, and they're really, really enjoying it. So that's great.
They're really, and you know, I had the distinct pleasure of taking some dancing lessons with Maxim Cherkovsky from Dancing with the Stars. And he happens to own a dance studio in Boca, which I frequent a lot of time. It's called Dance With Me. And the first time that I went in there, and I went up to Max and he said, wait a minute. He said, I know who you are. And I looked at him, I said, you do? He said, yeah. He said, you're good friends with Tito Puente Jr., who happened to be on Dancing with the Stars. And when I said that, you can't imagine all the people that came around me and said, oh my God, Tito Puente Jr. And then they said, Tito Puente, oh my God, I remember seeing him in Puerto Rico and the Palladium in New York. And the same thing happened to me when I went to Miss Universe this past May. And, you know, everybody roots for, you know, the different countries. So I happened to get in the middle of all the people that were there from Puerto Rico. Yes. And I started talking to a few people. I said, you know what? I said, come to our pageant. I said, it's going to be on board Bahama Paradise Cruise Line. And we got Tito Puente Jr. performing. That is all I had to say. I couldn't even finish my dinner in the restaurant. I had people coming up to me and asking me for my autograph. Oh, all right. You know Tito Puente Jr. We knew his father. Did you know his father? It was unbelievable. I'm telling you, I should have filmed it that night. You would have never believed the people that I had around me. But you know what? It was a great honor because at least I could say, and just like you said something that's very true, the kids back then did not have the opportunity to see a legend, to see your father on stage, to really see Kicking It, and with other legends on stage. So I think it's absolutely great what you're doing. In fact, I think you and Melina were just at a school where you were playing for some children, if I'm correct on that.
Yes, I did. We just went to a Hialeah Miami Lakes school earlier last week, and we talked. We came towards we actually did about 3 or 4 schools during Hispanic Heritage Month, which just finished up, and it was great teaching kids about 𝐒𝐭𝐚𝐲, the history of the song and the music and where mambo music comes from and the legends. You know, today kids listen to Jennifer Lopez, Mark Anthony, Ricky Martin, all of those artists wouldn't be if it wasn't for Celia Cruz, Tito Puente, Fania All-Stars, Hector Lavoe. These are the titans of mambo music, and really opened up, just opened up the entire music world to Afro-Cuban sounds that you hear today. And most people, if you think about it, they dance to a lot of it, including Max, our good friend. You know, he's Russian. Max is Russian, but he loves mambo music, and he's got it in his soul. Dancing with the Stars was a beautiful, beautiful event that I did, and I was so honored to be asked to do that. My friend Cheryl Burke asked me to do the show with her, and she's a mambo dancer too as well. All of the dancers on that particular program love cha-cha-cha, rumba. If you watch it every week, they always throw a Tito Puente song in there, here and there. So you'll hear it. Yeah, it's like a definitive sound for all mambo dancers. But I encourage everybody to check out the album. If you love salsa music, check out the album. I got this cool thing happening too, Angela. So during the pandemic last year, I was kind of sitting around. My beautiful wife, Rosalie, was like, hey, you got to do something. You're not really gigging that much. So I said, man, we got to come up with an idea. She came up with a very clever idea of not only finishing up the album and making salsa music, but salsa you can eat too. So I came up with these 4 great salsas. If you guys are interested in it, these are Tito Puente Jr. hot sauces. And I have some different flavors. I have guava, I have maple mango, which is very hot. I have sweet green pepper and Tito's tamarindo. So I got this thing called the salsa bundle pack, and everybody's loving it. They're picking it up. They're buying them every day. With the CD, you get the 4 hot sauces, and you can get them at my shop, Tito Puente Jr. myshopify.com. Very easy to find it on the internet. Tito Puente Jr. myshopify.com. 4 salsas that you can eat, and 11 salsas you can listen to.
Which is right, yeah, because I just got a note that said talk about the hot sauce. So I'm so glad that you brought that up. Yes.
Yeah, it's so fantastic. It's great for breakfast. Any beef, poultry, rice, beans, soups. Hey, it's football season. Hey, you guys put it on your hot wings. It's really good. They're all vegan friendly, non-GMO, very healthy for you, not 0 calories. So they're great. We're going to do 4 more flavors in January. I think I'm going to add banana, orange. But remember, guys, these are hot sauces. So if you like it hot and spicy salsa, these are your sauces. Check it out. Tito Puente Jr., myshopify.com.
Oh, I definitely. In fact, you mentioned Max about he's Russian and he loves salsa music. He would love this. First of all, he'd love the hot sauces because anything hot he loves. So I got to let him know that. But also, he did just recently when he did a documentary and they asked him about being Russian and salsa music. He turned around and he said, look, if it was not for our great Latin friends, we wouldn't be here. He said, I would not be doing ballroom dancing. I would not be on Dancing with the Stars. He said, I wouldn't be a celebrity. And he mentioned your father. He said, the great Tito Puente. He said, none of us would be dancing to Latin music. So I think you need to make a return to Dancing with the Stars.
I will. They actually asked me to be a contestant, so I'm considering it now. Now that I turned 50, that would be kind of like my bucket list to be on Dancing with the Stars. But I got to be honest with you, I'll probably do just as good as Jerry Springer.
No, I think you would do better. I've seen you dance. I think you're great, and I think I read somewhere along the line that your father liked to dance.
Yes, he was a very good dancer, and I'm pretty sure that you've seen him dance many times, Angela. He was a very fantastic dancer. He won many contests when he was very young. And in barrio, that's what was hot back then. Back then, they didn't have internet or computers, so dance contests were really what kept the kids off the streets, and they really, really enjoyed it. He got to the story is that he got to a bicycle accident, but he was also a piano player, and then he stopped playing because his ankle was hurting him, and that's when he started playing percussion at the young age of like 8 years old. An amazing, amazing child prodigy. Dad will always be remembered as the king of Latin music, and what an amazing career. And I'm glad that people are still recognizing it, including yourself, and on this platform too. You're telling and you're teaching more youth and young people about who Tito Puente was and his legacy.
Oh yeah, he had a fabulous legacy. Now, also another thing about your dad, I know he was in the Navy in World War II. So was my dad, yes. And I believe he had a band in the Navy. Am I correct on that?
That is correct. He had he was part of a band on the ship. And he had, then I guess they named themselves the Piccadilly Boys, and then he used that name when he got discharged from doing, I think, 3 years on USS Santee. He was a U.S. Navy officer. Actually, he was a petty officer, and he played taps. He played the saxophone. He also he did a lot of arranging too as well. And I think the history supersedes, and it tells something about, like, that's where he really got his chops in learning to play marimba and other things, because he was the entertainer on the ship when they were out in the Pacific in war, and it keeps the troops' morale up. And yes. Tito Puente was that person. How exciting is that, to get your chops up during a war? And he kept everybody smiling and entertained. That's really, really to be commended for. And he got some beautiful Purple Heart medals for that.
Yes, he did. Well, we have about 3 minutes left, so I want you to tell the audience what you've got coming up. I know you mentioned about the King and I, of course, the Grammy, yes, and the movie. But what shows do you have coming up now?
Fantastic concerts coming up soon. I told you guys about November 7th, the Miami Beach Salsa Festival with Melina Almodovar. I'll be in New York and Poughkeepsie on November 27th at Ravel with our friend 𝐩𝐴 So please come out to that. After that, we got a West Coast tour. If anybody's on the West Coast, I'll be out in San Diego, 𝐒𝐭𝐚𝐲 Casino on December 10th, December 9th, Tucson, Arizona. December 11th, we'll be out in Roseville, California. That's Northern California by Sacramento. And then we'll be heading to Seattle, Washington, to Yakima, Washington, right outside of Seattle on December 13th, I believe. So a nice West Coast tour. You guys can follow me and see all the tour dates I'm doing on Instagram at Tito Puente Jr. And you can also follow me on Facebook at Tito Puente Jr. And I'm also on Twitter, and my kids got me doing the TikTok thing, so I got some silly dances going on there too. But all things Tito Puente Jr., Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You guys can follow me and see where my next concerts are coming up. A lot of great ones coming up next year too. Lyric Theater up in Stewart. I'll be in Puerto Rico. And of course in the Bronx, New York, March 5th with the Big 3 Palladium Orchestra, Tito Rodriguez Jr., Tito Jr. and Tito Puente Jr. live in concert. Can't wait for that one. It's going to be with a big band. A lot of, and of course, a lot of folks, a lot of the musicians that were in all three orchestras, those that are still with us. So I'm excited about that concert too. Great things happening, Angela. I can't wait. And of course, we'll see you on the cruise next year as well.
Oh yeah, July of 2022. I'll make sure I'll get that date for you. But I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be my first guest on Make Our World Your Runway. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. The great Tito Puente Jr., the son of the legend Tito Puente. We are so honored to have you. And stay tuned because you're going to see and hear more of Tito. And I'm sure he'll be back again as my special guest. So thank you so much. It's been fantastic.